Can you imagine a man who quietly sweeps the school hallways every day, unnoticed and uncelebrated, yet whose kindness sets off a chain of events no one could have ever expected? This is the story of Joe, the school janitor, and a struggling student named Emily, a story about hope, compassion, and how a single act of kindness can change lives forever. Joe had worked as a janitor at Lincoln High School for nearly 20 years. Every morning before the sun even peeked through the clouds, he was already there, mopping floors, fixing broken lockers, and making sure the building was ready for hundreds of teenagers. Joe was a quiet man, with hands rough from years of hard work and eyes that seemed to carry the weight of the world. But behind that calm exterior was a heart full of empathy and kindness. Emily was a student in her junior year, and life had not been kind to her. Her clothes were often worn and patched, her lunchbox barely filled. Her father had recently lost his job, and her mother was working 2 jobs just to keep the bills paid. At school, Emily kept to herself, afraid that her poverty would make her a target for bullying or judgment. She tried hard to stay invisible, but Joe noticed. One rainy afternoon, Joe found Emily sitting alone on a bench outside the school, her backpack soaked and her shoes muddy. The air smelled of wet earth and cold metal from the rain-soaked schoolyard. Joe walked over, his footsteps soft on the wet pavement, and sat beside her without saying a word at first. Then he gently asked, "Are you okay, Emily?" Startled, she looked up, eyes wide but weary. "I'm fine," she whispered. Joe smiled kindly. "You don't have to say that to me." He pulled from his coat pocket a small wrapped sandwich and handed it to her. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she accepted it. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling. That simple sandwich was more than food. It was a lifeline, a message that someone cared. The next morning, Joe quietly fixed a leaky faucet in the student restroom. But this time he noticed something else. Emily's shoes had holes, and she struggled to walk comfortably. Without a word, Joe went home that evening and returned the next day with a new pair of shoes for her. Emily couldn't believe it. When Joe tied the laces, he said softly, "Everyone deserves to walk without pain." Can you imagine the relief she felt that day? The small acts of kindness were beginning to build a fragile bridge of hope in her heart. But the true test was yet to come. Weeks passed, and Joe's kindness became a secret thread connecting him to Emily. One afternoon, Joe overheard a conversation in the principal's office. Emily was at risk of being expelled because she had missed several days of school. Her family's struggles were spilling into her attendance, threatening her future. Joe felt a fire ignite inside him. He couldn't stand by and watch a young life slip away. That evening, Joe stayed late, polishing the school's trophy case and drafting a letter. The next morning, he handed it to the principal, a heartfelt plea on Emily's behalf, highlighting her potential and resilience. "She just needs a chance," Joe said simply. The principal read the letter, moved by Joe's genuine words. She decided to meet with Emily's family and offer additional support rather than punishment. For the first time in weeks, Emily felt hope rising like the morning sun. But the story wasn't over. One day, a sleek, shiny black luxury car pulled up to the school entrance, gleaming under the afternoon sun. Students stopped in their tracks, jaws dropping. From the car stepped a woman, dressed elegantly but with a warm smile that softened the sharpness of her appearance. It was Ms. Andrews, a local philanthropist known for her community work. Ms. Andrews asked for Joe, wanting to meet the man behind the small miracles happening at Lincoln High. She had heard about his kindness and how it had changed one student's life. And then came the surprising reveal. Emily was her niece, living under tough circumstances after her parents' divorce. Ms. Andrews had been away and only recently found out about Emily's struggles. Moved by Joe's quiet heroism, Ms. Andrews decided to take action. She set up scholarships, provided the family with resources, and personally mentored Emily. The luxury car was not a symbol of wealth flaunted, but a beacon of hope arriving at the doorstep of a community desperate for it. Emily's life transformed. From shy and withdrawn, she blossomed into a confident young woman, excelling in her studies and reaching for dreams that once seemed out of reach. Joe continued his work, but now he walked with a quiet pride, knowing he had helped change a life. Can you imagine the feeling in that school hallway the day Emily walked in wearing her graduation cap and gown? The crowd cheering, Joe standing at the back with tears in his eyes? That day, everyone learned the power of kindness, how a janitor's simple acts of care could ripple outward, touching hearts and rewriting futures. And here's where the story becomes yours. What small kindness can you offer today? What ripple will you start? If this story moved you, don't forget to like, comment your own acts of kindness, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that remind us all how hope lives in everyday heroes. And stay tuned, because next week we'll share the story of a bus driver who changed an entire neighborhood with one unexpected gesture. You won't want to miss it. Remember, kindness costs nothing but can mean everything. Let's make the world better, one small act at a time.